Reddit, what are your best creepy teacher stories? Mr. Heiberg. This creepy old dude who was a horrible teacher who lost half my work. So much wrong with this guy. First of all, he had a giant map of our county, down to the street names. He gave us all a pushpin and told us to go pin where our house was. I put my pushpin in the middle of some lake. And like the OP, he would call us girls things like sweetheart and honey and baby. The worst thing almost got him fired though. He made everyone get up and pretend to be a water molecule or not a teacher, but a bus driver when I was 7. We called him Mr. Mike. He was young, probably in his 20s. He assigned all of us girls to sit in the front of the bus. He gave us all individual pet names, usually the name of a cereal or snack treat, and every day he would pick a princess, and that girl would get to sit on his lap while he drove. I didn't realize how creepy it was until I was much older. He got fired the next year. Senior year of high school, we got a new comp sci teacher. He was extremely overweight, annoying, and acted like a 15-year-old when he was 35. One day, he took my car keys and acted like he was turning on an engine while having the keys leveled at my chest. He then adds, "Do I turn you on?" I laughed, kind of startled, and said, I'm going to go do my work now. He still works at the school and has my brother as a student. He keeps asking my brother if I'm married yet. Ugh. I had the weirdest and creepiest teacher in junior high. It was the substitute for my history class, an elderly, nearly bald man who wore a bright red vest and a striped short-sleeved shirt underneath. Every day he subbed for our class. Every single day he came in, regardless of the fact that no one ever took any in the year he taught us. He offered everyone in the class the same moldy peanuts from an old Ziploc bag. Even worse, his nails were always long and painted a bright purple, and every day he would pick a princess, and that girl would get to sit on his lap while he drove. Sweet baby Jesus and the female orphans. How did he get away with that for so long? Old high school teacher used to rest his balls on the girls' desks while teaching. Plus he'd flirt with the more attractive slutty dressed girls. He was 50 and married. The guy needed to get a life. I had a teacher do the same thing. We started rubbing chalk along the edges of our desks so he would get white chalk all over his crotch. He wasn't really your sub, he just liked children. Well, you know the quickest way into anyone's pants is with popcorn, the champagne of snack foods. Sarcasm. When I was 16, I went on a family ski trip to France. I started hanging out with a bunch of very posh kids from England of similar age who were on a school ski trip. On the last night, after all the bars had shut, we all headed back to this one apartment for late-night drinks. At one point I went for a piss and drunkenly wandered into one of the bedrooms by accident. Found one of the girls from the school getting banged by the teacher who was supposed to be looking after them. Definitely see. At my high school there was a substitute teacher who would come in sometimes. He'd say creepy things to girls like "Close those legs before I get excited." They stopped hiring him after a while. That giant map sounds awesome. What country are you from? And if it's the US, where can I buy it? So, are you married yet? Toss up between the female teacher, usually dressed in a mini skirt and a Harley t-shirt at the age of 45, who would seduce her foundation's program students, think not slow enough for special ed but developmentally delayed enough to be entirely out of most normal classes and bone them during school hours, or the teacher who constantly tried to bring his students to Jesus and then would hit on them at prayer meetings. So my biology teacher turned out to be a huge creep. He hosted an exchange student and sexually assaulted her. He was gone from class for a few days and we had no clue why. One of my classmates discovered the story before any other teacher even told us about it. We later realized that he gave us assigned seating and all the girls sat in the front of the class. He was about 5 feet and walked with T-Rex arms. I'm sorry, because that is really creepy, but it's also highly amusing. Hold up, young kids, I have a boner. Just give me a minute. Mr. Radford. I call him that because it was his name. He was a starer. He used to be oddly cold to boys and super friendly to girls, used to drop his pen in front of girls' desks to look at their legs up their skirts. Once he tugged at my friend S' skirt because it was too short. On a school water sports trip he came and lay down next to the sunbathing girls to talk to them. All this and more. Damn, he was weird. He lost interest in girls once they got past year 9, so about 13 or 14 was his M. Till gay witchcraft is a thing. That sounds illegal. I had an old PE teacher who made a habit of watching girls try to climb a big rope we had in our gym. The problem with this was that, since the gym shorts we all had were way too short, he could easily look up girls' pants. The worst part would be that climbing this rope was a part of our final, so if girls didn't want to climb the rope because they were privy to this scheme, they would probably end up failing his class. I know gym teachers get wrongly stereotyped for negative things all. That wasn't a sub-teacher. It was clearly Robert Smith trying out a new do. I'm kind of shocked by how many of the responses to this are about male teachers. I expected there to be more male creepy teachers than females, but not by this much. Now that's my kind of apocalypse. My 8th grade history teacher was a creeper. We always made fun of him because he would wear old short-sleeve button-downs with no undershirt, and we could always see his nipples underneath. He always put one foot up on a chair like Captain Morgan, and we would joke that he was airing out his junk. Eventually we noticed that he was constantly scratching his balls. He would stand behind people and blatantly scratch just his junk. The final straw was one day after lunch, and we kept trying to get Mr. Santano, not real name, was my driver ed teacher. He was a 40-year-old guy who would always have us role play. He would pick the prettiest girl in the class and have her be his wife and pretend like they were driving. They would literally chat for 5 minutes or so about nothing to do with driving as he sat very close next to her. He'd also have all the girls sit in the front of the classroom. He gave every girl the creeps. The one girl I mentioned that was his fake wife detested. I've wondered this myself. I wouldn't say it out loud in a teacher-student setting though. I went to high school with a male teacher who was rumored to hit on female students. He would also write problems on the very top of the board and perv on short girls who had to stretch, revealing stomach skin. Then one day he was using the student men's room and made a comment on my dick size. He couldn't even see it. I immediately said, "What?" And he said nothing. Our principal had already swept several accusations under the rug. Edit. Forgot to mention this guy also later got divorced because his wife caught him with a student. Yeah, he was pretty sleazy. It's okay to lead with that bit next time you tell the story. Mr. Hodges, one of my teachers who would always touch us, he was arrested later for going down on his niece, or some close relative who was 7'8". I can't find the police report ATM though. Why don't you have a seat over there? I love the children. I got this. This dude is a highly respected tenured professor and on the forefront of neurobiological research at uni. He's really into a lot of different things like Chinese medicine, gay witchcraft, massage therapy. And considering he's in the biological field, it's not surprising that he also has a greenhouse at home full of plants that he's sure to remind you are perfectly legal. However, he is quite trained in isolating the many hallucinogenic compounds from these numerous plants. And indulge. Didn't he happen to me but my guy classmate? HS male instructor went into the men's restroom to pee. Chose the urinal beside my classmate and whispered to him, "Could you give me a bath?" Just so you know, you can own this poor bastard's soul. Next time he makes something similar to the yoga pants comment, you just let your face go blank and tell him, "I don't appreciate your sexual comments. Get them under control or I will be forced to talk to somebody about your behavior." Unless the guy is completely stupid, he'll be scared shitless of losing his job and going to prison that he'll shut the fuck up immediately. I had an absolute bro music teacher. At the end of each year he'd have all the graduates, or whatever you'd call it, over for a sleepover, where we'd jam all night long. Pretty awesome if I might say so myself. But, if the parents knew that your teacher was a creeper, then I really don't understand either. Female teacher boning students. Nice. How the fuck does someone like that manage to only get fired and not arrested? Good grief. Pissed, hey there. Nice penis. Substitute teacher once. No one thought much of him, he was sort of odd, but no big deal. Later that night on the news, he had been arrested for molesting a student, luckily, not one from our school. We were all sufficiently disconcerted. I would do this to kids just to troll them. This is why I am never allowed to become a teacher. I actually have this teacher right now. I am a freshman girl, and I seem to be his favorite. One of my guy friends sits behind me in class, and one day he was extra talkative with me. I go in after school to meet with my teacher, and he goes, "I know why Reed was so touchy with you today, because you are wearing yoga pants." This is fucking creepy. Coach Crowder, I played football in high school, but patting was pretty regular. Insert joke here, however, there was one coach that would stand behind us in the huddle, and as he was giving us the play would leave his hand on our butts. The guys would talk about how weird it was, but no one ever said or did anything. He retired the next year. Our PHY edition teacher in grades 9-10 was a little more than creepy. When the guys got to the wrestling unit in class, the girls were separated into their own group. While the teachers supervised the guys in the wrestling room, the girls' assignment was to make a coordinated dance routine in the gym. Since the teacher couldn't be two places at once, the final version of the dance routine was videotaped for later viewing and grading. I have no doubt his basement is full of these tapes from 20. My 4th grade teacher always gave me the creeps. I could never figure out why exactly, I just didn't feel comfortable around him. Every time he got mad his entire head would turn purple. He was bald, so this made it look even more ridiculous. He was just a terrible teacher, and a couple years after I had him I found out why I always thought he was creepy. Notice in the article he was also arrested in 2001 due to indecent exposure, something. The only real creepster was a male PE teacher we had in high school. The women teachers had an office just inside the girls' changing rooms. The men had their own in the boys', I guess. This male teacher was married to one of the female teachers, and was always popping into the office. Now that would have been bad enough if he just ran in there quickly. He could have done so without seeing us, as the door to the office was literally just inside the entrance to the changing rooms. But no, My little sister's science teacher was caught having sex with a student. This was in middle school. I'm really interested. Reddit has always been full of funny stories, and I thought this would be no exception. I find this really hard to believe. He sounds too bizarre to hire. WTF. I'm in MCPS area too. Lol, but I'm near John F. Kennedy High School. A teacher in my junior school got sent to jail because he belittled kids with learning difficulties and was found to be a pedo. I never had him as a teacher, thank fuck.